What's good? Welcome to the best 60 minutes of your day. 6 days till the NBA draft, and bam, we got action on the 6th. You see this right here? You see that draft order? That might just be temporary because according to ESPN's Mark Stein and Zach Lowe, the Sixers and Celtics are in advanced discussions on a blockbuster trade involving the number 1 overall pick in next week's draft. League sources told ESPN on Friday that the Sixers and Celtics are working on a trade that in its current iteration would send a package of Sixers draft picks to Boston, including Philly's number 3 overall selection in Thursday's draft, in exchange for Boston's turn at number 1. Now, completing such a deal, ladies and gentlemen, that will put the Sixers in position to draft Washington's Markelle Fultz to pair him in the backcourt with Ben Simmons, last year's number 1 overall pick, who's, of course, yet to make his NBA debut. And then, of course, you got the process coming back from injury. One source close to the talks expressed confidence that the deal will go through, saying, quote, they are swapping 1 and 3, close quote. Let's just cut out the middleman and go straight to the source of this report. Zach Lowe, along with Mark Stein, reported this for ESPN. Zach Lowe joins us now on the phone. Zach, let's focus on the Celtics here. What is Danny doing?
Well, it could be one of two things or both at the same time, right? I mean, if you think Josh Jackson is the guy and not Markelle Fultz, then and you can get him at 3, and you assume that the Lakers are taking Lonzo Ball at 2, then why not get some extra goodies and still get the guy you want? Or it could be, if we can do that and get some extra draft picks that we're going to need to use in a trade for a big name like Jimmy Butler or Paul George, well, then we need more picks for that. So it could be all of that.
Now we're talking. Okay, so this could be about compiling more assets while still getting a player that you like at 3, more picks to maybe entice one of these other teams to let go of their superstars. So when it comes to the Celtics, and if they, let's say they stayed at 1, do they like Josh Jackson enough to take him at 1 so they can fall back and not lose anything, is what you're telling me?
I don't know. I mean, that has certainly been rumored over the last 48 hours, and I will say, I mean, that's what's so fascinating about this. The number 1 pick is the single most valuable asset in the NBA. It rarely gets traded. It's the most likely thing to produce a superstar. And if you're going to trade it, you better be right. You better have a plan B lined up, whether it's that kind of trade we talked about, or you better be right that the guy at 3 is better than the guy at 1, because that is an enormous gamble.
So your sources are telling you that this is going to happen. What potential snags could there be? Any chance this falls apart?
I would say right now it looks very likely to happen. I mean, a couple other outlets reported that, the Sixers are reviewing Fultz's medical stuff, and you never know what that medical stuff is going to turn up, but there hasn't been much noise about any of that. The terms are essentially agreed to at this point. I would be really surprised if it fell apart.
So no players involved going either way? It's strictly picks?
Right now it's strictly picks, and the best I can tell you is that Boston gets number 3 and 1 future first, and the Sixers have 2 of the best future firsts in the whole league, if not the 2 best, which is the Lakers unprotected next year and the Kings unprotected in 2019, and both those teams could still be very bad in those years, so those are great picks.
NBA offseason action is fantastic. Zach Lowe on top of it as always. Appreciate you hopping on the 6, man.
My pleasure.
All right, let's bring in Ramona Shelburne, another of our fantastic NBA insiders. Ramona, what are you hearing about the potential swap of 1 and 3 between Boston and Philly?
Well, it's funny just watching Markelle Fultz work out right there in those highlights, because I saw him yesterday in L.A., okay? He worked out for the Lakers, which kind of gave some people some pause. Like, if you're the prohibitive number 1 overall choice, right, you've already worked out for Boston, and he had a good workout there, why are you coming to work out for the Lakers? He said, it's a family decision. I'm telling you, Michael, when they worked him out, they said he was terrific. So, part of me says he got this vibe from Boston that he wasn't necessarily their guy. He kind of started feeling the Lakers. Philly said, wait a minute, if he falls to the Lakers at 2, he's not going to be there for us if he starts falling. And so I think Markelle Fultz, when the Lakers looked at him yesterday, he was terrific. And there's a lot of discussion about him because he obviously played for a team that had a losing record. He didn't show as much in college, so he's a guy that didn't make a huge name for himself in terms of branding and in terms of notoriety outside of the college basketball world. But the NBA guys are on to him. And the word was he shot it well. He can create his own shot. He's got that game that reminds some people of a James Harden type game.
Okay.
Obviously, he's got to develop into what you project for him. But if the Celtics weren't 100% on him, right? If they thought he was good, but maybe they can get something better, or they're just going to turn something into more, then that's why you do this right here. But as Zach said, if you're going to do something like this, you better be sure, because this doesn't happen often.
Let's talk L.A. Let's talk about the pre-draft workout, Ramona, that could determine the Lakers' decision-making next Thursday. There is the superstar L.A. has been longing for. At guard, 6'4" from D2 Cal Baptist, Michael Smith auditioned for the Lakers in El Segundo today. He averaged 25 a game as a senior. Cal Baptist in the Pac West all-time leading scorer. Back-to-back Pac West Player of the Year. So clearly, while we share a name, Ramona, we don't share the same caliber.
Michael,
game.
I saw this. I was standing right there.
You were courtside for that, so
it was online. It was on. No.
Good luck to my man,
you're a
though.
brave man.
You know we got to
You're a
stick
brave
together.
man.
But all jokes aside, Ramona, as for the real workout everybody's talking about, Lonzo Ball got his second chance to make a first impression before the Lakers decide whether to spend the second overall selection on him or, depending on what you read and believe, Ramona, whether to trade back and grab him, should he slip a bit. What are you hearing about how Lonzo did in that second workout? I saw you writing a lot about they wanted to get a look at his work ethic and his conditioning.
I think it was actually more Alonzo wanting them to see how he works out every single day and how he conditions. And the other thing that was interesting about today is that LeVar, his dad, the reason we know about Lonzo as much as we do, he was there today. So the first workout, there was no LeVar. The first workout was at the Lakers facility. It was just Lonzo, one on none, and all the brass was there, and they got to see him and meet him and go to dinner with him the night before. This one was out in Lonzo's home turf, right? Out in what he does every day, so they get to see what he does and how he works every day. To be honest, listen, he's in L.A. Magic Johnson was sitting courtside for a bunch of UCLA games. So was Luke Walton. So were all the scouts that work for the Lakers. Like, they've seen him. I don't think it's necessarily coming down to a workout. I think a lot of what they wanted to see today was attitude and then the way he treated that. If this is your hometown team, okay, this is your dream, and your dad has been trying to speak it into existence for your whole life, you want to show that hunger and you want to leave no doubt. And from what I reported yesterday, I think what Lonzo wanted to hear from the Lakers was, am I your guy? At the end of this, he wants to hear some sense of, have I separated myself in your mind? Because if he has not done that, he needs to know, and he will talk to other teams below the Lakers in the lottery.
Yeah, that's a big shift from where they were, where it was Lakers or nobody. Now they don't want to put all the eggs in that one basket. Speaking of LeVar, though, obviously Father's Day coming up. You had Lonzo post a letter to his dad in the Players Tribune. Part 2 of that awesome Foot Locker ad just got dropped. You mentioned LeVar being there to work out with the Lakers today. Any lingering concerns? I always thought that was silly to begin with, that his dad would somehow be a deterrent to drafting him, but I don't want to dismiss it out of hand. So any lingering concerns on the part of the Lakers, or for that matter, other teams up top, as it relates to LeVar's presence and influence on his son?
Let me tell you what the concern is. If LeVar starts talking about his teammates, okay, it's not about Lonzo and his ability, how he affects Lonzo. It's about how LeVar can influence your teammates or other guys in the league. Because as you've seen, LeVar doesn't, mince words. He doesn't keep things to himself, and I think that could be a problem. But that's why it was important today for LeVar to be there, and the Lakers have an opportunity to talk to him. And I in all my conversations with the Lakers, they don't seem worried about it, because that's kind of what you pay Magic Johnson to do, right? To be able to put his arm around the guy and say, "Come on, this is how we're going to handle this." But I will say this, I spent some time with Lonzo reporting an ESPN The Magazine story. He's a different guy when he gets away from his dad, okay? When you walk in the room and he's there with his dad, he's quiet, he lets his dad do the talking, because quite frankly, LeVar fills up the room. You can't really get a word in edgewise. So rather than try to compete and talk over him, Lonzo's quiet. I said, can I talk to Lonzo by myself? And for about an hour, we talked, and he was like a different guy. And I think that's what the Lakers and all the other teams that have scouted him have discovered throughout this process.
Well, LeVar may fill up a room, but nobody fills up a room like Magic Johnson, and Jeannie Buss owns the room. So LeVar may clap back at the media, but he's not coming for Magic Johnson and the Lakers. If anybody can handle that drama, it would be him. Thanks for handling business with us, Ramona Shelburne. Appreciate the knowledge.
All right, I'll see you on the court in your next workout.
No, I'm retired. All right, the finals are finished, but LeBron and Draymond aren't done. Like two rappers dropping diss tracks. I'm sure Draymond is in the studio right now recording his response in a new Dre Day pod. To recap, Draymond got his troll on with the cricket t-shirt. LeBron responded with obligatory, that's what she said. To which Draymond responded with a shot at LeBron's new haircut and pointing the finger at LeBron for the modern super team phenomenon. Emphasis on modern. LeBron offered counterpoints on the Road Tripping podcast with teammates Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye.
I definitely didn't start the super team. In '96, when Jordan was retired, the Rockets joined Charles Barkley, Akeem Olajuwon, and Clyde Drexler, all on the same team. In 2003, the Lakers combined Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Shaq, and Kobe. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like it's great that on the day that you're celebrating your championship, my likeness and my name is in your head.
Jalen Rose is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. David Jacoby is joining us from Los Angeles, talking about this super team back and forth. I got you, Jacoby. Where you at? Hey, you're not see. Get your man. Not ready. Anyway, look. I'm starting to hate the phrase super team.
Me too.
I just had a hearing it, right?
It's so lame.
It's just overused at this point. But that was the point, though. KD or LeBron, Wade, and Bosh before him, they didn't join up for it to be easy. They didn't throw a pep rally saying not one, not two, not three if they didn't know they were going to be a dynasty. That's the reason KD went to Golden State. So why are they rejecting it? Oh, you're the super team. No, you're the super team. No, Mike had the super team. Like Charles had the super team. Like, why can't they just say, yeah, that's the idea, to run the league for a couple of years?
This new LeBron James has done a really good job of doing the best job he can of rewriting history.
And he is a historian.
Absolutely. And he's right. He didn't invent the super teams in theory. They used to be done by the actual front offices and ownership. That's why the Lakers and the Celtics have separated themselves with championships, 17 in one, 16 in the other.
Right.
So, yes, those people were pulling the strings. Red Auerbach, Pat Riley, Jerry West.
See, that's okay.
Jerry Krause. All of those people were pulling the strings.
Yeah.
LeBron James did remix it, though, Michael.
Yeah, he did.
He sure did. When he said not 5, not 6, not 7, he knew that was special.
It's free agency.
Yes,
because
indeed.
I keep talking about the Thunder. How many people talk about how the Thunder blew it by not keeping James Harden with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant? That would have been a super team.
Yes,
if Kevin Durant would have re-signed and Al Horford would have went to play for Billy Donovan, that would have been a super team. Am I right, David Jacoby? You're gracing us with your presence?
Super team is Jalen and Jacoby and Michael and Janelle. Here's the thing about this super team thing. LeBron James will never not play on a super team for the rest of his career. Every time that he moves to a new team, which he probably will, he is going to move to a super team. He is not trying to rebuild. He's probably going to be in the year, another 7 years. He will always be on a super team for every year he plays the rest of his career. So I don't know why he doesn't just embrace it.
So let's spin this forward, okay? We said super team way too many times, but...
Can I acknowledge what a super team is for people?
Break it down.
Gets thrown out
forever and consistently be broke. Break it down.
Correct, absolutely. It's really when you have multiple all-stars playing on the same team at the same time. Mm-hmm. So for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had 3 all-stars this year.
Right.
That constitutes a super team.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant just took it another level and joined a team that already had 3 all-stars.
Right.
And what's unique about their situation, they're the first team to have 2 MVPs, both under the age of 30.
In their prime.
That's what has us all talking about this, because we haven't seen it happen to this magnitude.
Like I said yesterday, whether you get bit by a radioactive spider, exposed to gamma rays, or you were born on Asgard, you're still a superhero. However y'all came together, that much talent makes for a super team. But let's spin it forward, guys. Jacoby, you have all these rumors about Chris Paul. Let's start with him. That he may now visit the Rockets, forming a dynamic duo with Harden. He may visit the Nuggets, not a super team, or go to San Antonio, which would be a bona fide super team with him and Kawhi Leonard. No,
that's only 2 all-stars.
You don't count LaMarcus Aldridge as an all-star?
He didn't make it this year.
Well, he's been an all-star.
No, that's what I mean,
Popovich didn't make it a super team. You got a super coach.
Okay, there you go.
But what's the best fit for CP3? Should he keep going in L.A., or should he move on and try to form a super team of his own, or wait in L.A. for maybe LeBron to join him down the road, Jacoby?
When you're Chris Paul, you only get this sort of courtship every 4 or 5 years. It only happens 2 or 3 times in your career. So he's just enjoying the process. He's just going out there, taking the meetings, having the meals, looking at the presentations. But at the end of the day, he's just going to be able to make so much more money staying with the Clippers that he will end up staying with the Clippers. He's just flirting. He's just flirting around. He's going to come home to the Clippers. The real question is who's going to be on his team with the Clippers.
Well, you know what they say, a flirt is better than a you-know-what. But what do you think? Should Chris Paul take the pay cut or go try to get this ring?
Here's the thing for CP3. He's only meeting with Denver and Houston to really meet with the Lakers and smoke screen it. That's truly what he's trying to do. If he was going to leave the Clippers, he's not leaving California and leaving that building to play basketball. He's anchored there. His family's there. You see him in commercials. He could get $200 million to play for the Clippers. Now, if y'all going to sign and trade me to the Lakers, now all of a sudden, does that become another domino for LeBron James to consider coming to live in his $20 million Brentwood home to play in the purple and gold? But I think ultimately Chris Paul remains with the Clippers, and you're going to hear rumblings about LeBron James going to play basketball in Los Angeles. I know because I helped start them. He will not be playing for the Los Angeles Clippers, so let me just kill that
Not the
right
Clippers.
now.
If anybody, the Lakers is what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying. All right, Jacoby mentioned a second ago as to who might be playing for the Clippers or may not be playing for the Clippers. Blake Griffin, also a free agent. Celtics, possibly. You want to talk about a formation of a potential super team? Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, Blake Griffin. Can you see Blake Griffin going to the Celtics, or do they run it back with the Clippers?
I think if Blake Griffin is going to be a game-changing player who didn't make the All-Star team this year, he has to get out of the Western Conference. Because there are so many dominant guys that play the 4, that play the 5, that while he gets his numbers, it seems like they rain hollow, almost like when a tree falls in the woods, it's like nobody truly hears it.
Yeah, and he gets hurt a lot, too.
Plus, he gets hurt at the time when you need him the most.
Yeah.
If he comes to the Eastern Conference, the power forward position is so real thin. He will be such a dominant figure in the Eastern Conference. Now that becomes a game-changing thing for a team that's able to acquire him, in particular if it's Boston.
Jacoby, let's stay with Boston. Gordon Hayward's also been linked to the Celtics. Who you like better for Boston, Gordon Hayward or Blake Griffin?
Oh, Gordon Hayward's already on the Celtics. It was on his wife's Instagram. Like, that's already done. We all know that we're talking about the Heat now and him staying with the Jets. Gordon Hayward, I believe, will be on the Celtics. However, regardless of who they draft as well, if the Celtics' real problem is not in the backcourt or at the wing position, they need bigs, which is why Blake Griffin joining that team is interesting, but I don't know how they would make all the numbers work if to add both of those guys.
And then, of course, in the Eastern Conference, you got Paul George saying he's committed to the Pacers for this year. Well, of course you are. You're under contract.
He's under contract.
Who knows what happens next year? So much going on. Real quick, before I let you go, we got to take a break, though. But thoughts, Jalen, on this potential blockbuster trade between the Sixers and the Celtics at the top of the draft, flip-flopping 1 and 3.
It totally makes sense because if you're the Boston Celtics, you have a 30-point scorer in Isaiah Thomas. You have Avery Bradley, who's a lockdown defender, who also is a capable offensive player. You don't necessarily need folks to that mix. You know why? You're too small. Now, if you're the Sixers and you're going to make Ben Simmons, who's 6'10", and can't shoot, your primary ball handler, you need somebody like Fultz that can be a combo guard, play off the ball, and still get you buckets from the shooting guard spot.
And I know you like Josh Jackson. The Celtics could drop down and maybe still get their guy in Josh Jackson. Appreciate it. Jalen and Jacoby, always doing work. All right, SVP's here, talking Ricky Fowler, who's gone bad at Aaron Hills. Bogey 3 straight holes, now 2 shots off the lead. Brooks Koepka, your second-round leader at the moment, through 12 at 8 under. Ricky Fowler now at 6 under, again, after 3 straight bogeys. So he was 1 stroke off the lead, as you know, entering the final round of the Masters before falling off. But he seems to have a good perspective about carrying this tag of best golfer never to win a major. What do you make of what you've seen from him so far? And just as important, what you're hearing from him as he deals with that external pressure.
I think he's in a comfortable place with who he is. For a while there, he heard a lot of chatter about being a star absent any actual accomplishment. He was in ads. He's good looking. Everybody liked him. Kids dressed like him.
Butch Harmon told him don't be a Kardashian.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But then he wins the Players, which if you can win there, and he stood tall when he had to, delivered the goods when they absolutely had to be in his bag, and they were. That lets you know who you are. He's been close in majors. He knows he can really play. And he also knows, and I think everybody that plays the game knows, that winning a major, as much as anything, is just being present enough with a chance. I know people got tired of hearing Tiger say that, but that's really what it is. Because oftentimes, majors are lost, and if you just don't screw it up, you win. And so I think, look, Ricky's going to win a major championship.
Right.
Not a matter of if, but when. Maybe it's this week. I don't know. But he knows who he is, and he knows that he's got the game. He's a top 10 player in the world now. That's not counterfeit. That's not some poster boy.
Yeah.
That's legitimate. That was earned on the golf course.
With all due respect, he's not Lee Westwood in that he's young and has the title of best golfer never to win a major, which when you add those two things together, to your point, it's not if but when. He'll do it eventually.
That's how I feel about him.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned just giving yourself a chance on Sunday. Rory and Jason Day, 2nd and 3rd ranked golfers in the world, do not have a chance, not even around for the weekend. How disappointing is that, just as a golf fan, to not have numbers 2 and 3 on the weekend at the U.S. Open?
Well, especially with Tiger being absent from the game, with Phil not playing this weekend because he's going to his daughter's graduation. Like, it's stars. These guys are stars. Dustin Johnson hadn't played well either. We'll see what happens with him in the last, probably whatever it is, 9 holes, 8 holes that he's got left. But if you'd have told me one of these two guys missed the cut, I'd say, all right, I mean, anything can happen in a major. But you tell me that neither of them would make the cut and that neither of them would come close. Neither of them had it at all. I mean, every time I turned around, they were hacking it out of this fescue.
Right.
It's pretty,
irony for Rory.
Yeah. It was shocking. It was shocking to me that both were so far off. They both battled with some injuries and some time away from the game. And the U.S. Open will expose a flaw. It will magnify a flaw. But, I mean, it's a huge bummer. This leaderboard right now, I love the U.S. Open. I love watching it. But, I mean, the leaderboard right now doesn't have a whole lot of, wow, look at me, if you're a casual fan.
Yeah, let's talk about DJ, though. You mentioned him kind of getting it together in round 2. I like what I heard from him. He and Paulina Gretzky just had a son, which offers perspective that only a parent and a father could know. Coming up on Father's Day weekend, you look at Drew Love, son of Davis Love III, right around the cut line last I checked. He's got Davis Love III caddying for him. Mm-hmm. You love to be a dad just as much as I do.
Yep.
Talk about just a special connection between this event and Father's Day.
The coolest thing that we used to do when we covered this championship, we would do these preview shows. And Mike McQuaid, who you know well, one of the guys behind the scenes, the folks at home wouldn't know, but he's made every one of us here better. The shows we enjoyed the most were the hour shows prior to the final round of the U.S. Open on Sunday. And we would start every year with shots of children with their dads. And when I became a dad, it's like, look, every cliche comes true. Like suddenly the clouds lift and you're like, oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And so lots of sports have connections of dads to sons and daughters. But this one in particular, I think the idea of, generations, the Loves become just the second family ever to have the grandfather, the father, and the son all playing this championship. And it's really cool. I was texting with Davis, and I actually, on our show, I showed pictures because I caddied for David Duval in the par 3 tournament. It's been 15, 16 years ago when Drew was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I sent Davis the picture. I'm like, the little kid in the 89, he's now 6'5" and playing in the U.S. Open. I mean, it's just like time goes by in an instant. But this championship, with Sunday being Father's Day, always, it gets you thinking.
You know what was cool? So we were just at the finals. Mm-hmm. And when Golden State closed it out in 5, my wife sent me an email from my son's teacher. My son went to school happy the next day, not just because Golden State won, but he said, my dad gets to come home.
How great is that?
And I think about Phil Mickelson, and a lot of people were like, oh, well, that's what he's supposed to do, miss the U.S. Open for his daughter, who was a class president's graduation. Unfortunately, not all dads think like that. Not all dads understand that kids remember not what you gave them, but they remember that you were there. Mm-hmm. They remember that when important things happen, even as a teenager or as a college graduate or whatever, you were there. They saw your face. They look in their eye when they see your face. So I applaud Phil Mickelson for, look, he's still pursuing this particular major, but understanding I need to be at my daughter's graduation. What are you doing for Father's Day? What's your plans?
I'm off. So, and actually my family is they're abandoning me. They're going down to visit our family down in Florida. So
you get peace. That's the only gift we really want.
Oh yeah, quiet. What they're giving me is they're leaving. Right after you say the sweet thing. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't have plans other than to be around and be present with them and whatever the day brings, it brings. But part of it will be watching the U.S. Open because I do have this connection to the event. I've talked often about I lost my pop when I was young, so I would always get nostalgic when we would do these shows, and I think, man, I wish he was around to see it, and so. It's always an interesting day for me. I have a heavy heart, but it's full because now that I am a pop and I get to know the joys of it. It's I'll let them spoil me.
Well, I've seen you in action, man, and you love fatherhood about as much as I do. So
well, it's the greatest thing there is, isn't it?
No doubt. Appreciate you joining me,
always.
Man. What you got coming up tonight, real quick? U.S. Open, obviously.
Well, we're going to see about what's going on with his trade.
His trade, yeah.
That's very, very interesting. And if Brooks Koepka is the leader, I'm going to tell a story about Brooks with Ricky Fowler, Phil Mickelson, and Dustin Johnson. And when I met him in a practice round, when everybody was like, see this dude over here? He's got the goods. And that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Now here he is.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Saturday from Yankee Stadium, it's the Seattle Sounders against NYCFC at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. My good frenemy, Taylor Twellman, will be in the booth on the call, stealing the show as he always does. He tends to draw a crowd. He likes attention.
He says, do you love me? And she says, no, but that's a real nice ski mask. No, so anyways, that would get back to it. So a couple nights ago, Tom Brady and I are at dinner, and we're having a couple glasses of wine. He orders fish, I order steak. And Julian walks in with a martini in his hand. Julian's like, who is this guy? And TB's like, no, it's cool. Matt, Ben, and I, we all know him. He's going to hang out with us in Boston in a couple nights.
So Taylor Twellman hanging out with me from Yankee Stadium.
That still got you.
Game.
That still got you a little stung, doesn't it? That still got you a little
I'm just impressed
stung,
that I appreciate you actually coming on the show knowing Jamel isn't here, because I know you're her TV side piece. So the fact that you decided to bless me, even if she's not here, I appreciate you coming on. Let's talk world soccer.
I had to ask for special permission, my man.
Oh, you texted her and asked if it was okay. Nice. Let's talk world soccer first. Cristiano Ronaldo not happy with Spain, reportedly threatening to quit Real Madrid following tax evasion accusations. A source close to Ronaldo confirmed to ESPN FC that Ronaldo would prefer to play in another country rather than deal with what he sees as persecution in Spain. Taylor, Cristiano Ronaldo not on Real Madrid? Like, can this really happen?
I don't know, Michael. I don't know what to make of this situation. I really don't, because oddly in the Spanish law, if you're sentenced as a first offender under 24 months, like we saw with Messi, who was found to be guilty of tax fraud over around 5 million or whatnot, he got 21 months. If you're under 24 months, you actually don't have to go to jail. But if Messi got 21 months for $4.5 million, and Cristiano is on 15 million, 16.5. I think this is more serious than others are led to believe. Michael, I think you were covering Spygate when Bill Belichick was fined, I think 500 to 750 grand. And you remember immediately when that fine came out, he was re-signed to a new contract extension with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if Cristiano's trying to wave and push Real Madrid to use that power within Spain and within that tax clause the way David Beckham did from 2003 to 2007, which is in part of this story with Cristiano. I'd be shocked if he leaves. But, Michael, I don't think people realize. I think it's more serious than they think.
Wow. Okay. You're a serious golf guy. You're a man of many interests, so I know you're interested in the U.S. Open. Ricky Fowler, I mentioned this earlier, the SVP, his swing coach, Butch Harmon, said that they had a big conversation at the end of last year, and he didn't like it. I said, this is Butch Harmon talking, I said, you got to decide, are you going to be a Kardashian or are you going to be a golf pro? You're the king of social media. You're all over these Snapchats and all these things. What do you think about what Harmon had to check Ricky Fowler on and what you've seen so far from Ricky Fowler? 3 straight bogeys at last check at the Open, now 2 back at the lead.
Michael, it reminds me a little bit of what my dad told me I got a face for radio. And it's harsh, but then you got to realize, okay, now I need to move on.
Your dad told you that?
Yeah, it was straightforward to the point at Christmas dinner when I told him I was thinking about getting in TV. You need to hear the truth. I'm going to give you the athlete version,
all right,
and Butch Harmon's 100% correct. But I'll argue from the media side of things, and Michael, you and I have talked about this off camera, the general public is not paying attention to golf without Tiger Woods. Mm-hmm. So if Ricky Fowler is that young guy that brings in the general public and whatnot, then I think I'm all for it. Now, I have an argument about whether or not he should be holding hands immediately after the round. I know hashtag Ricky got a chick, but like yesterday I'm watching, and Michael, I'm sitting there thinking, dude, holding hands already? You're 7 under. You haven't won a major yet.
Yeah, but you would hold her hand too.
Roll.
You would hold her hand too. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I'd hold Ricky's hand too, but that's besides the point. The point is, though, Michael, like, if it really was a serious conversation with Butch, and Butch, keep in mind, was with Greg Norman, was with Tiger Woods, you never really saw those two do that. So I think what Butch is talking about is that mentality of becoming a major winner, and I think Ricky's got all the goods. But Scott Van Pelt said it best, Michael. He said, quite simply, it's in the right spot at the right time. Danny Willett won the Masters. Since he's won the Masters, he hasn't broken 71 in 10 rounds in majors.
Crazy.
A lot of it is being in the right spot at the right time.
Well, and what Butch is also talking about is knowing that the longer you carry this title of best golfer not to win a major, the less appealing and the less of a cool story you are to the media. We start to turn on you and say, when you're going to break through Sergio Garcia. You're no longer the cute story anymore the longer you go without winning the major. Major contributions out of you, Taylor Twellman, calling the MLS game, Seattle, NYC.
Hey, Michael, what time's the game tomorrow?
1 o'clock, I want to say? 1 o'clock on ESPN?
Yeah.
On the Watch ESPN
I
app?
just want to hear you read that promo.
You're trying to put me on the spot,
read the promo one more time.
Why? You know when the game... It's available on the
Who's going to win tomorrow?
How does he... At Yankee Stadium. You'll be on the call. Let's revisit our top story. According to ESPN's Mark Stein and Zach Lowe, the Sixers and Celtics in advanced discussions on a blockbuster trade involving the #1 overall pick in next week's draft. Sources told ESPN on Friday that the Sixers and Celtics are working on a trade that in its current iteration would send a package of Sixers draft picks to Boston, including Philadelphia's number 3 overall selection in Thursday's draft in exchange for Boston's turn at number 1. Our Jeff Goodman, our basketball insider, joins the Six now. Jeff, what does Danny Ainge have up his sleeve?
It's the big question, right? I've talked to him plenty throughout the course of this season, and the one thing not only Ainge says, but a lot of NBA guys maintain is there's not a ton of disparity from 1 to 4 in this draft. And certainly if Ainge feels that way, he's more willing to move down to that number 3 spot and still get a guy that he covets, a la Josh Jackson or Jason Tatum. He loves multi-dimensional, versatile forwards. It's why he took Jaylen Brown last year. And if he does draft somebody like Jackson or Tatum, he could also move Jay Crowder, who's got a trade-friendly contract, 3 years at only about $7.3 million a year.
So I think that's music to Celtics fans' ears that this could possibly be a precursor to another trade, because the last thing Celtics fans want is for Danny to stockpile more draft picks. They're thirsting, they're starving for another star to put with IT and Al Horford. So could you see, Danny, if this trade does in fact go through, picking up a Josh Jackson at 3 and having even more ammunition to pry, whether it's Jimmy Butler or Paul George or whoever, away from another team? Or do they just sit tight and let Gordon Hayward or even a Blake Griffin sign with them via free agency? What's his next move after this move is what I'm getting at, Jeff.
Listen, I think what you just said with Blake Griffin or Gordon Hayward would be the first step. I think he does really covet Josh Jackson or Jason Tatum. Jackson, more of a Brad Stevens type wing, loves to defend, versatile, not a great shooter. Tatum coming out of Duke, kind of the opposite, really skilled. I kind of compare him a little bit, and he may not be this, but Paul Pierce, Carmelo Anthony type games. He can really score the ball from all 3 levels. Good shooter, is only going to get better in that regard. So Ainge, you never know what's up his sleeve. I don't think he's done, certainly not looking if this trade does come to fruition like it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, and maybe he doesn't get a star. Maybe he goes and gets the rim protection and the rebounding that he needs. Jeff Goodman, always delivering what we need when it comes to college and pro basketball. Thanks for falling through the Six, man.
You got it, Mike.
All right, guys, I got to admit, I was a little devastated and depressed at the news that the officer who shot Philando Castile was acquitted on manslaughter charges earlier. But leave it to sports to provide a pick-me-up, even if temporary. You got Prince Night going on at Target Field tonight. The Twins honoring the Purple One. The first 10,000 fans get one of these Purple Rain umbrellas to open during the 7th inning stretch. Serena Morales joins me from Minneapolis. Serena, I know you got an umbrella for me, right? Don't come back to Bristol without one of those umbrellas. Thank you.
I got an umbrella, Michael. Michael, it's pretty cool. I mean, this would already be a big game by itself because you've got the Twins who are in first place in the AL Central. They're facing the Cleveland Indians who are just 2 games behind them in the AL Central. And despite the Twins being in first place, they actually have the worst home record here at Target Field. So it's only appropriate that they celebrate the biggest name coming out of these parts. They're celebrating Prince Night. The first, as you said, the first 10,000 fans are going to get one of these umbrellas. And then they're going to play music throughout the game, Prince music throughout the game. And they're also, the players pretty much warmed up with these awesome exclusive Prince T-shirts, which I will show you in a second. But check this out.
You're bringing me one of those too, right? So what's the vibe? What's the energy like? Again,
I know I'm collecting things for you, Michael.
first place team, as you mentioned, just had the number 1 pick of the draft as well. What's the vibe like with Prince Night? What's going on around the ballpark?
Yeah, so fans are super excited. They're all coming in. They're getting their umbrellas, which are actually already being auctioned on eBay for some reason. But the players actually are also very excited about this. I talked to Brian Dozier and Joe Mauer just a few minutes ago in the locker room, and here's what they had to say.
You ask anybody up here in Minneapolis, everybody's Prince fans. Prince is the king up here. I know a lot of the fans around here, they enjoy it. But I was a Prince fan.
I like it. I'm a big fan of Prince's music. So it'll be a fun night. I'm sure there'll be some good tracks being played tonight in between innings.
So yeah, the guys are excited. Ryan Dozier actually told me he wants to keep the T-shirt, even though those will be auctioned to charity to raise money for schools, local schools, music programs for local schools here. But, Michael, check out this umbrella because it might actually rain during the game, so I got some purple rain protection.
Serena, I don't even carry umbrellas. I just get wet, but I definitely want one of those. And do me a favor while you're there. Order me a fruit cocktail because I'm not all that hungry. You got that, right? You caught that, right? All right, Serena. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you. Some clown named Gedvydas Spinauskas is the president somehow of the Lithuanian professional basketball team. He said that of black players on his team, we've always held a stance there shouldn't be more than 2 black players on the team. What happened was that coach likes to play with black players to control them, to teach them, to tutor them. And we ended up with 4 players that are black. All of a sudden, they came together to form, how should I put it, a sort of a gang. It cannot be that way. Remember that, all you people talking about keeping race out of sports. Post-racial society, right? I hope Lithuania gets drugged every time they take the court. Why is this dude still a president? And why am I wasting time on this ignorance? Oh, because it's still out there, despite what many would lead you to believe. Let's move on. KD took some time to clap back at some people on social media. Love KD coming back to Twitter. Some people asked him about his Kyrie Irving better than Allen Iverson hot take. They tried to clown him, or whether he would have joined the Cavs had they lost. And he said, but we didn't lose, though. So good to see KD having fun. As far as the parade goes, found this out today. Oakland, they didn't help pay for yesterday's parade. It cost Warriors ownership $4 million. In other words, it was priceless. Meanwhile, Warriors TV analyst Bob Fitzgerald had Draymond rolling, literally.
The MVP, the scoring champion, the multiple All-Star. He doesn't like Tarantula. He doesn't like Slim Reaper. He likes KD. That's got to be for Kid Dynamite or Kevin Dominant. He's ours. He's here. Kevin Durant.
Let's just go with KD, man. Let's just keep it simple. Kevin Dominant, Kid Dynamite, A for effort. It's been fun watching these guys have fun. And back to the whole Twitter thing, glad to see KD coming back, engaging. He said it, willing to back it up. UNC football coach Larry Fedora trying to gain a competitive advantage in the recruiting trail.
It's about recruiting these days is being relatable to these young kids these days. You hear that new Migos song? Pretty lit, right? All right, don't mind me and my fidget spinner, but this is why we want you at Carolina. My name's Larry Fedora, but you can call me 2 Chainz. At UNC, we play fast. 0 to 100, like my man Drake says. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to build a super team and win championships.
If I had any skills whatsoever as a football player and I went back in time, I'd play for him. I appreciate the effort again. But you know what? I could also relate to sometimes, man, you just got to know when to let go. Because these kids saying slang nowadays that I can't keep up with. I'm barely where I can keep up with some of it, but I don't want to be that guy. Hopefully I'm not already that guy that's using things out of context. But not the case for Coach Fedora. Nice job out of UNC. According to a national representative online survey commissioned by the Innovation Center of U.S. Dairy, 7% of American adults, not children, believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. 7%. I think that's like 60 million people if my math is correct. How? How now brown cow? How now brown cow? That many people are stupid? Wait. This is ridiculous. Unbelievable. I bet you those are some of the people I encountered. Never mind. Michael Phelps will race a great white shark on the Discovery Channel during Shark Week in July. That's such power. That's raw power. Dad, what are you doing? It's Shark Week. I'm sorry. I'm by myself. That's how I entertain myself when it's just us. I just have to quote Step Brothers whenever possible. Apparently, a great white can hit 25 miles per hour. Phelps, 6 miles per hour. Nobody can hang with him. Might as well race a shark. Why not? I might as well take a break and quit while I'm ahead. If I'm ahead, that is. Hey, I referenced Philando Castile, rest in peace, earlier, but need to give a special shout out to Special Agent David Bailey, a Capitol police officer. He was injured in Wednesday's shooting. He threw out the first pitch during last night's congressional baseball game at National Park. All right, before I let you go, before I call it a day, I'm going to tell you who had a good day or who's probably going to have a good day. That's Lady T, Phoenix Mercury star Diana Taurasi. She needs 29 points tonight against Chicago Sky to become the WNBA's all-time leading scorer. That game, of course, can be seen at 10 Eastern on ESPN 3. Oh, my God. Hey, babies. When did y'all do this, man? Oh, man. Happy Father's Day. Oh, y'all. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check, in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our Geico bill with the Geico app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the Geico app. Thank you.